I went away for a single year, and this is what happens in my absence?
Help me!
I'm late! So, recently there's been some talk on Reddit about Team Fortress 2. Taking that into consideration, I might as well ignore this video and skip straight to the end. Goodbye for now. But I'm kidding. In all seriousness, there has been some talk recently about a certain file in the Team Fortress 2 assets, with some people saying that this coconut is even required for Team Fortress 2 to run. Well, this video aims to take that claim head on, and get to the bottom of what this coconut is. I found out about these rumours after a friend posted them to the Discord server in the form of a Twitter post, talking about how there was a JPEG in the files that apparently crashed the game when removed, according to a developer comment in the files. This apparently originated from a YouTube comment that was originally reposted to the subreddit r/programmerhumour. The dev comment is as follows.
I have no fucking idea who put this here, but when I deleted it, the game would not start. Words cannot describe my fucking confusion.
To understand the truth behind this picture, a few questions must be asked. What is the image? Why is it there? What is the image's attachment to the code? And what will happen if we removed it? The obvious question of what it is will be first. Coconut.vtf, not a JPEG by the way, no idea where that came from, is a Valve texture file of a coconut that seems to be photographed. The texture has transparency values, so the background is removed from it. Due to the absurdity of it, you might believe that it's unused. The texture belongs in the effects folder, which is where most textures are stored for use in particle effects and sprites. Technically, the texture itself is not entirely unused. While it isn't used in-game, it did serve a purpose once upon a time. In the assets, it is used for a particle effect. Two in fact, which are both grouped into a different particle system. These particles were related to the freshly brewed victory taunt for the soldier, and judging from the texture, was meant to be the bean spilling out of the bag. However, the particle system ultimately went unused, and as a result, the texture no longer serves a purpose. This would not be the first time that textures were found unused for this taunt, since there were a few others, such as a photo of a pile of coffee beans, a tin can, and a sack. Another particle for this taunt is just an animation of a bunch of images used for the Troublemaker's Tosselcap UI's icons. As for the particle systems, if they are unused, what are they doing in the final game? There are no references to them in and out of code, and the taunt animations files don't exactly seem to reference them either. If I had to guess, I'd say they just never removed it? It definitely would not be the first time that Valve have kept unused content into the game, and it wouldn't be the last. If they were referenced, this is how the taunt could look.
I love the smell of a kicked ass in the morning.
I share the sentiment of the earlier comment though. I have no f***ing idea why it's in there. So why would a coconut texture make the game crash? The most likely reason would be from bad code and dependencies. Usually, if the coding of a game or the engine it runs on is bad enough, and I mean truly bad, it may crash if something unexpected happens. Some examples of bad code in an engine include reading or writing to inaccessible memory, attempting to load from an asset or file that does not exist, or a very bad oversight. In this case, the most likely reason why the code would crash is since it needs coconut.vtf. But no matter how hard I looked, I could not find a case in where coconut.vtf was loaded into the code and required to run. After checking through all models, maps, code, anything you can think of, I couldn't find any attempt to load this coconut in particular. Which is when I discovered that there is a text file that contains the file names for all particles which need to be loaded on startup. tauntfx.pcf, which is where the unused particle effect is one of these files. The game does not discern if it is unused or not, so it loads the effect anyway. However, should the texture be missing, it will simply go through the same process as any other texture. simply replaced by a black and pink checkerboard pattern. In addition, I do not understand what deleting a texture means. It's possible to remove it from the packaged assets, but that's just about it. And doing that doesn't break the game at all. The developer comment that started this doesn't seem to be in the source code anyway, or anywhere else in the public game's files. Come on now, do you really think that the Team Fortress 2 developers would go out of their way to mention that a coconut was crashing their game without even trying to fix it? I'm very disappointed to say though that no, this coconut would not cause such a thing. But if it did, I would like to know what kind of advanced f***ery resulted in the game breaking. Part of me hopes that this coconut being missing could somehow cause a crash, so feel free to prove me wrong. That being said, I'm sure there's something far more absurd than a texture of a coconut that would cause a crash. If bots could crash servers, then the sky is the limit with what could crash this game if you put your mind to it. And only then can we joke about that far more than the legendary photorealistic Team Fortress 2 Team Fortress 2 coconut. Oh, I can't do this anymore. Goodbye for now.